So for this session, I'd like to teach you the triangle pose, and we'll go through it step by step. So this was one of the first poses I learned, and I remember I was left in it way too long. So first of all, just see how we get into it rather than hanging around in it too long while I'm teaching it, and then we'll go through it together. Okay? So trikonanasana, tri in Sanskrit means three, kona means angle, corner, and asana obviously is the posture. So what I recommend for people is they take their leg length width apart. And if that doesn't feel right, adjust it for you, okay? At this stage, you can feel fairly flexible in the legs. You don't have to have them run straight. What I would like you to check is that if looking straight at you is 12 o'clock, could you just bring your toe end to point at about 1 o'clock? Okay, at the back, lovely. And then the other foot here, the very middle of the heel, if you drew a line back, is meeting where the instep starts in your other foot. So just check that. And then what I'd like you to do is bend that front knee, which isn't bent in trikonanasana. But what we want to do is, because this is a hinge joint and we need to protect it, I'd like it to bend over this second toe, this little one next to the big toe. So it bends over that. Now when it does that, put your hands here on your hips. You can see that your hips are not straight against the wall like this. They're actually at an angle. So originally people used to teach it wrongly by saying, you know, stand against a wall, keep your hips right against the wall, spread the legs, go over into trikonanasana, and then the knee joint would be in the wrong position. Look, it's traveling forward, it's not doing the hinge joint at all, it's compromised. So now we get a modification which actually is better for your knee joint. So here we go. Check the feet, check the knee, check the pelvis. Lovely, straighten. And then the next bit is the internal organs here in the torso area, the belly area, where they're all jostling about for space. Quite often, those poor internal organs are all slumped up. And what we need to do is, without raising the shoulders like this, we need to lengthen them up. So we lengthen from the crown of the head and we lift the rib cage up away from the pelvis. So watch the difference between lifting the rib cage up using shoulders and lifting the rib cage up using the rib cage. Okay, so I've just extended this space here. Then we take the arms out. Okay, check that you're ready to bend the knee a little as you go forward. We can straighten it later. If you need to adapt the pose, you can have blocks on either side of the foot for when you go down, or you can rest the hand on the thigh, the knee, or the shin. It doesn't have to go all the way down. So let me go back to extending up in the rib cage, and then imagine keeping the rib cage up. There's a bar here, you want to get it up and over that as you go down. Okay, and then just testing, are the adductor muscles here too tight? If they are too tight, maybe go in a bit, okay? But don't overstretch them and hurt them. Is that far enough for you? Can you go a bit further? If it's pulling tight here, play safe, pause, look up. So in theory, the arms are coming up, straight up from the floor in a nice straight line when you're looking up. Some of you might be able to rest on a block down here. And some of you, like me, might want to keep that knee fairly soft. It's not locked too straight. Okay, and you might be able to come down to the floor, looking up. The trick to correcting the shoulders is often the shoulder is falling forward so that you can get down enough. People go, I can't get down, I can't get down. Oh, I'll go down. I'd rather you kept that nice side position. Okay, pelvis right, check it with the knee, side position, look up, look up, look up, and just go as comfortably as you can that this shoulder stays above this shoulder and doesn't come forward in any way, okay? And remember, yoga is not competitive, so you don't really need to worry what anybody else is doing or what people in your class are doing or whether you really want to get it as it looks in magazines. I would recommend getting it right for you comfortably. So if you feel you can stay in this pose a little, you can go into Uthita trikonanasana, where you stretch the arm over the head and even drop it down a little, and you look up through the upper arm. And already I've noticed this arm is getting tired. It's coming forward, so make sure it's back a little, okay? And that's very, very strong pose. And I'm breathing into it. If it feels too strong, go back to arm up. If you feel unsteady, look straight ahead as I'm looking at you. If it starts to get really tiring, don't come up out of it, but go down into it. So rest, pause, come down and release the pose. Okay, so that's going through it in fine detail, making sure that we correct and protect the knee, making sure that the shoulders are in alignment, and making sure we give enough space to those internal organs. So it's a very traditional pose. Quite often people do it without thinking. They'll go, oh yes, the final pose, yeah. And everything is not quite in the right place. So if you want to, we'll just do that together. Stepping like a ballerina. Back of the heel on the instep, where the instep starts. Stepping forward comfortably. And you'll work that distance out for yourself. Back foot, just bring it in a little with the toes. The heel stays in the same place, but the toes come in, okay? And then let's get this knee pelvis right. So hands on pelvis, then the knee over the second toe. Beautiful, back we go, keep it there, don't move it, all right? And then lift up the rib cage without lifting up the shoulders. So lift and create a space and over comfortably. It's always best to underachieve at the beginning of trikonanasana to check that this doesn't move into the wrong area and this shoulder, okay? Because you could just go down, as I said before, like that. So just see where you're at. If you can, look up. If you can't, look straight out. Rest on the block. If this arm gets tired, you can rest it for a moment on the waist or even behind the back. Put it back up, okay? And then if you feel like doing stronger, you can actually go over, look up through the upper arm. And I made the mistake when I was beginning to do yoga of thinking, oh, I have to do the strong poses. I have to, you know, not just do level 1, I have to do level 10 because then I'm improving. And actually you can be doing this pose and like me bending the knee and it's hurting a little in here. And I'd actually be better off going up a bit and correcting the pose a little. And over time, this tightness here, probably at the end of the day, will loosen. To come out of it, if you want to come out of it upwards, bend that front knee, rise up, okay, turn the foot to the front, and then do the other side. And when you've done the other side, heel toe, back to the mountain pose. So it's a lovely pose to try, and I would recommend trying it very slowly. You know, if you start doing it today, in a month's time, you might feel completely deeper in the pose, and it may not look any different from the outside, but from the inside, you might feel, this feels like the sweet spot in the yoga pose. So I hope you enjoyed that. You can always put questions in the comments, and please do subscribe. It doesn't mean you get emails and it doesn't mean you get pestered, but it's really good for me. It's like saying thank you to me for taking my time out for free to teach. Have a wonderful day, evening, weekend, whatever.